Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Don Bosco Prep Open House. My name is Will Rosen. I'm your anchor at DBP News, and I'm joined by
the co-anchor at DBP News, Marcus Dudley.
Now, Marcus, why don't we tell the lovely ladies and gentlemen back at home what they're in store for?
Well, they're in store for a lot. We're going to go over all that Bosco has to offer, from the mini buildings of Savio, St. John's, to Sales and Immaculata, to the football and baseball fields, to the clubs and the sports, and to the lovely food we serve in our cafeteria.
Well, thank you very much, Marcus. Now let's go over to Mr. Donnelly.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Donnelly, Director of Enrollment Management here at Don Bosco Prep and a proud member of the Ironman class of 1992. I'd like to welcome you all to this fall virtual open house. I am truly excited for this event because I know after this hour, you will have a better understanding of all that Bosco has to offer. We hope to answer as many of your questions as possible in tonight's broadcast. If there is something you'd like to speak about personally, please contact me directly. A bit of housekeeping pertaining to tonight's program. We have a combination of live speakers and pre-recorded pieces that have been specially created just for this virtual open house. At the end of the presentation, which will be about 40 minutes from now, we will have a Q&A session where you can submit questions in real time and we will answer them live. Regardless of your viewing platforms, you will be able to submit questions. If you feel like you've missed something during tonight's broadcast, please know that this video will be added to our website in our official YouTube page for you to watch again. In regards to the admissions process, many of you viewing this evening are current 8th graders and members of the class of 2025. Please be mindful that the due date for the application process is December 4th, and that every Catholic high school has a different admissions process. So just be mindful of what are the required steps. Let's take a look at our checklist. As many of you are aware, the Archdiocese is not administering the HSPT exam this year. We are finalizing a scholarship assessment, which will be made available and shared with you in early October. The first step in the application process is to complete the online application. This will include a short essay, as well as a checklist that we will update internally, which will help you keep track of what items are submitted upon the applicant's behalf. Please submit transcripts. We ask for 6th, 7th, and first term 8th grade transcripts, as well as any standardized tests or assessments you may have taken in the last 2 years. You will make this request to your school to have those transcripts sent up here to Bosco. On our website, there is a records release form that you could submit to your guidance office in order to request those records be delivered. Third, make sure you schedule a campus tour. Unfortunately, we're not running our traditional Ironman for a Day program this year. However, we are excited that we are providing personalized family tours of Bosco. The tours last about an hour and are available throughout the school day and have proven to be a great way for the entire family to experience a day at Bosco. Please contact me directly to schedule your tour. The next step is the letters of recommendation. We require letters from your current math and English teachers, as well as any general non-teaching letters of recommendation from coaches, people in your church, your parish, Bosco alumni. Help us learn more about you. And it's very often that these letters of recommendation really give us some real insight to how unique each student here is at Don Bosco Prep. Those letters of recommendation templates are available on our website. You can print them off and hand them to the person who you were asking to write that letter on your behalf, and they can submit it quite easily. If you're applying for financial aid, that's a separate process which requires the completion of the school and student services online application, as well as the submission of the 2019 federal return that the applicant is claimed on. This process is explained in more detail on our website. If you're a transfer student, please refer to the admissions page on our website for the necessary steps, and please contact me directly so that I can help you through this process. So let's get things started and meet our live presenters for this evening. Joining us tonight in one of our robotics and engineering workshop labs, we have Mr. Craig Jandoli, Assistant Principal for Academics. Next is our principal, who is live in our Leo and Entrepreneurship Business Room, Mr. Manny Morelli, an alumnus of the class of 2002. And our first presenter of the evening, coming to us live from the Com Arts studio, is Mr. Bob Fazio, our president. Over to you, Mr. Fazio.
Thank you, Mr. Donnelly, and welcome everyone to this beautiful evening. I feel very honored to have the opportunity to address you. Each and every time I'm introduced as the president of Don Bosco, I pinch myself to be a part of such a magnificent institution of higher learning. As you saw on many of our drone shots, this is a magnificent campus that's spacious, and our boys really are lucky. As a father of a graduate of 2007, the greatest decision we made as parents was to send him to Don Bosco. So much so that it provided him with the courage to go to Hawaii Pacific University. So proud of my son, RJ, class of 2007. I feel things have changed greatly over these months, over these last 6 or 7 months, where we had to pivot to a virtual style of learning. And our faculty did a phenomenal job. Really proud of the leadership and the work that was done. We began on March 14th thinking about how we would reopen this school year. One of the ways in which we have to communicate is this type of forum tonight. So proud of the work that's been done. As I sit in this studio and the pathway that has been worked out with our media club team, it's just magnificent to watch that we're able to live stream and have this type of event. We opened up back in September, early September, in a very safe and healthy way, because everything we do is based on health and safety for all our stakeholders. It's paramount. Good education starts with health and safety. This past Monday, we brought our entire school on campus. You will see that our protocols are wonderful, healthy, strong, and we follow them to the letter of the law. If we can continue along this path, I think our success will be great. There are many challenges, but we are a team and we work the work. Mediocrity is not in our DNA. We are all about academic excellence, athletic excellence, spiritual excellence, and emotional excellence. I'm honored to be a part of this evening. I will be available for any question. And I'm also available with a phone call or an email. We serve you all the time. That's our mantra. And at this time, it's my extreme pleasure to introduce our spiritual leader, a dynamic man, Father Jim User, our director.
Were that group who were most exposed to danger, and yet the group of society that was most rich in promise. And so he spent his life working with young people, passing through the period of adolescence. He worked with them so that they might pass safely and well through those formative years and become honorable citizens and good Christians. And he formed a community that would walk, that would accompany those young people. And he shaped what he called an oratory, his first work. He shaped it to be four things: a home that welcomes, a school that prepares for life, a playground where you can meet friends and enjoy yourself, and a parish where you can meet Jesus and know the deepest love of God in your life. There are many reasons why young people choose to come to Don Bosco Prep. But the reason we are here, the main reason we are here, is to take young men who enter and to reach deep into their souls so they experience the deepest, deepest, deepest love of God for them, so that they know that God lives within them. And then they leave here as the honorable citizens and good Christians Don Bosco wanted them to be. So I'm happy to greet you tonight. I pray for you as you kind of try and sort out where you might want to spend your high school years. But just know that there is no place like Don Bosco Prep. And you will have no regrets if you were to come here. God bless you.
Thanks, Father Jim. Now I would like to throw it back to Marcus and Will for a brief tour of campus. Guys?
Thank you so much.
And now we have a little video reel from the Communication Arts Department that shows all our campus has to offer.
Thanks, guys. It's always great to see some of the things that our comm arts students come up with. Now I'd like to introduce our principal and a member of the Ironman class of 2002, Mr. Manny Morelli. Mr. Morelli?
Thanks, Mr. Donnelly, and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for taking some time out this evening to join us to learn a little bit more about Don Bosco Prep. As Mr. Donnelly mentioned, I am a member of the class of 2002, and I think the fact that myself, Mr. Donnelly, came back here, Mr. Fazio, as a parent, came back here, really speaks a lot about the family community that we have. A lot of times when I talk to parents and students, transfers, incoming freshmen, and we talk a little bit about my role here, I say that my number one job is to make sure that our students are safe and that they're successful. And really, the last 6 months have provided a lot of opportunities for us to have to think outside of the box. And the reality of it is, this is something that we weren't that worried about because it's embedded within our DNA as a Salesian school. When St. John Bosco was beginning his oratory back in the 19th century in Italy, he adopted a model known as the preventive system. And essentially, the preventive system was based on 3 pillars of reason, religion, and kindness. Now, at the time, there was more of a motto of spare the rod and spoil the child. And school was mostly a harsh environment, but St. John Bosco tried something different. He decided to do everything that he could to form relationships with his students, be rational with his students, and really teach them loving kindness. And ultimately, that religion and educative community that was formed allowed his students to flourish. So this counterintuitive model that was innovative in the 19th century has allowed us to springboard to be as innovative as we need to be here in 2020. So I think that the reality right now that I would want families to know is that we have a very strong commitment to your son, the student, and your son, the athlete, and your son, the actor. But at the end of the day, it's your son, the person. That's really who we care about. And we're going to do everything to make sure that he is challenged academically, but is also kept safe. In the past 6 months, I have been honored and privileged to work with our pandemic response team, our COVID task force, with our director of facilities, our director of security, our assistant principal for student affairs, Chris Moore, ultimately to be in a position here to prepare our students and our campus to make sure that we are safe and ready to continue to learn. As Mr. Fazio said, we're blessed with the space that we have here on campus, and ultimately we are able to bring all of our students back every single day on campus, 5 days a week, through the use of what we call extended learning centers. So ultimately, we make sure that our classrooms are socially distant. We have 6 feet of space in between desks. And if we have a class of, say, 20 students, and a classroom only fits 14 students with social distancing guidelines, then you have those 6 students rotate each day to a different area on campus, the cafeteria, the gymnasium, or a tent that allows fresh air to flow as well. But ultimately, between that, our one-to-one iPad program, boosted Wi-Fi, access to peers and teachers, students have a very seamless transition back to campus this fall and are in a majority of their classes every day. This is unlike any other Catholic high school in Bergen County right now, because we did not have to adopt a hybrid model, but instead we're able to bring all of our boys back. That said, we are respectful and compassionate, and we allow our students to engage in a remote option if they deem that that's what's best fit for their families. And if they're not feeling that well that day and want to stay home to not risk the community, we allow them to Zoom into their classes as well. Ultimately, I have to really thank our faculty, though, because their commitment to their professional development and training to do everything that they can to pivot and be prepared for our students has really been uncomparable, and I can't thank them from the bottom of my heart. When you come to school for a tour, you'll get a chance to meet some of our teachers, and honestly, you'll see that they care more about their students than any other school I've encountered. Ultimately, like I said, this has really been a formative place for me. It's because of my interactions with the Salesians and my education here that I followed my vocation to go into education, and I couldn't be prouder to be back here at Don Bosco Prep. So at this point, I want to thank you again for coming, and I would like to turn it over to our new assistant principal for academics, who will speak more about our academic program. So thank you, and I'd like to introduce Mr. Craig Jandoli.
Thank you, Mr. Morelli. I am honored and privileged to have the opportunity tonight to speak to you about the defining characteristics of the Ironman academic experience. First and foremost, we see our students as individuals. They are not numbers or boxes to be checked. We work hard to place them in classes for which they are well suited when they arrive here in 9th grade. And then at every level, college prep, honors, and advanced, we make it our mission to challenge them to be excellent and to reach their full potential. The anchor of a Don Bosco Prep education is what we refer to as the 5 C's, which is a set of core competencies that we believe all Ironmen must achieve: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, and community. These are the portable skills and mindsets that we know our students need, not just to be successful in their classes here at Don Bosco, but to be successful in life. It is our responsibility to prepare our students for the next level and for a world that has a lot of uncertainty, but will always require those 5 C's. We are student-centered. We meet our students where they are, and we set the bar high for everyone. And through the relationships we build and the support we put in place, we graduate young men who know how to think, how to solve problems, and how to be responsible citizens who make a positive impact on the world around them. Our bonds with our students are very strong, and our connectedness is a huge part of the academic experience here. We have an academic pathways program here at Don Bosco. Our Academic Pathways program is something that makes Don Bosco unique. And those of you that will be a part of the incoming class of 2025, you will be the first class ever to come to Don Bosco and be able to declare which pathway you want to be a part of from the very beginning that will guide your course offerings all throughout your time here. Our Academic Pathways offer students the opportunity to combine classroom learning with an experiential component, providing concrete application of those 5 C's that I already mentioned. We have 5 pathways here at Don Bosco: business, communication arts, engineering and computer science, visual and performing arts, and government and social sciences. They are great opportunities to apply what's learned in the classroom to real-world situations. Our students really capitalize on resources available to them and network with industry professionals and take their learning to the next level. The best part is that if you are not ready to declare a pathway, you don't have to, as we have a full array of electives available to every student. Also, if you come to Don Bosco and you declare your pathway and you decide to change, that is okay. We also have 14 advanced placement courses and 11 dual enrollment courses, which means students earn both high school and college credit for these classes. Our dual enrollment courses are offered through Fairleigh Dickinson University and Ramapo College. This is a time of intentional transformation here at Don Bosco Prep. We will never change who we are or let go of our traditions, but we will learn and grow and shift in ways that benefit our students. Our number one priority is to develop whole human beings who are lifelong learners and to continuously enhance and empower our young men for life. At this time, I will now send things back to Mr. Donnelly in the Sacred Heart Chapel.
Thanks, Mr. Jandoli. And it's been great having you here. Even though it's your first year, you've absolutely hit the ground running. We are so fortunate to have you part of our team here at Don Bosco Prep. I hope everyone's enjoyed what we've shared with you so far. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to the question and answer portion of our program. While we were waiting for some questions to come in from our social media platforms, we have a few questions that were sent in upon registering for this event. The first one I know upon registration that came up was about what kind of additional support does Don Bosco Prep provide for students in learning needs? And I think this is a great part of our school. It's certainly, we're very, very proud of our learning needs program here. And I know that it really has a positive impact on so many of our students. Mr. Jandoli, would you be able to talk a little more about that, please?
Absolutely, Mr. Donnelly. Our learning needs program is very robust here at Don Bosco. Students learn in various different ways. Some are auditory learners, some struggle with different aspects of learning, some are tactile learners, and some students come to us with either a learning plan or a 504. Some of them come to us with just in need of a little bit more support. And our learning needs program is designed to reach those students, to make sure that those students are reaching their fullest potential and are happy and successful here at Don Bosco. Our learning needs program is linked through our guidance department, and so they work closely with the counselors. We also have resource room offerings here as well. We have the ability for students to be in very small classes so that the teacher to student ratio is very small and they get the attention that they need, and they're able to have more face time with their teacher so as to better understand concepts.
Thanks, Mr. Jandoli. All right, let's move on to another question that we had upon registering for tonight's event. We are excited to see Bosco will have fall sports. You're not the only one. Can you provide some more information about your athletics program? We certainly are very proud of our athletics program here. We have 19 sports programs here at Don Bosco. We have JV and freshman teams for those programs, and we certainly take a lot of pride, and it creates a wonderful school spirit here at Bosco. But Mr. Fazio, I think this would be a good opportunity for you to talk a little more about our athletics program and how you see things here.
Our idea is to have our students embedded into that entire day of playing football on Friday. Thousands of people come on our campus, and it's quite a scene. We also have so many other teams that are extremely successful. Our hockey program and our basketball program and our baseball program and mountain bikes and track and just volleyball, and it can go on and on and on. And they all are on a national level. We are very, very proud of our coaches who are extremely committed. They will work 12 months a year. Now, during these times, things are very, very challenging. So we have to think very, very differently. Right now, our soccer team is practicing on campus, and our football program is alive and well with practice. Men that are doing unbelievable work under extraordinary conditions. This is very fluid, very challenging, but we adapt and we overcome to whatever the situation may be. I am really proud of the work that our athletic director, Morrison Troke, has done. We have a trainer who is top of the line, who sees everybody's needs all the time, especially now with temperature checks and self-reporting and making sure that our student athletes are well attended during this pandemic. I don't know how it's going to shake out, but what I can tell you is we've done everything in our power to set our boys and our coaches up for success. We've planned on many levels. Now we're executing our plan, and we're hoping that we can stay safe and healthy and have a season. There will be challenges for our winter sports as well, but we will adapt and we will overcome. And during normal circumstances, I couldn't be more proud of what I see go on this campus, both here and away. And, I'd like to point out also that we've won many awards about our students and how they conduct themselves at games. That's the most important part, is that our student body is lively and spirited, but act like Iron Men. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Fazio. Certainly it's always great to have our Ironmen competing on campus in a safe and healthy way. I hope we could continue to get that going here this year. The next question we had upon registering was regarding our campus. We do have a unique campus, and we're very, very proud of our campus. And this question says, when my family visited Don Bosco Prep last fall, we felt like we were more on a college campus. Can you talk to us more about your campus and some of the facilities we've had? And already this evening, you're seeing that we're filming from a couple of different facilities on this campus. So, Mr. Morelli, I think this is a good one for you. Are you available to handle this one?
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Donnelly. So we are situated in northern Bergen County in Ramsey, conveniently right off of Route 17, but we actually have 35 acres that we operate on. Our oldest building is St. John's Hall. It's also the home of our Salesian community, where we have 14 Salesian priests and brothers that live on campus. It was originally our boarding house because we were a boarding school for Polish Catholic immigrants back in 1915 when the school was founded. And eventually the school expanded to build Immaculata Hall, DeSales Hall, and most recently in 2017, Savio Hall, where I am right now in our Leo room, which is one of the major business labs for our business pathway. Our students do walk outside to switch classes, which has been excellent, actually, given the current circumstances, for everyone to get some fresh air in between classes. And currently we've staggered our bell system in order to make sure we don't have any sort of crowding in the hallways. And we've had one-way hallways, up stairwells, down stairwells, and we're taking all care to make sure that everybody is safe. But even during non-pandemic times, you'll find students having lunch, sitting outside under the portico of Savio, hanging out in the quad after school, taking advantage of our lacrosse, soccer, and baseball fields, or perhaps enjoying a quiet moment near our grotto dedicated to Our Lady of Lourdes, which is also here on campus next to our pond. Our pond is also used as part of our fishing club that is run by one of our Salesians, Father Jim Malloy. And further, we have a tradition here on Senior Gratitude Day, the last day of classes for seniors every year, where the boys all run and jump in the pond. Now, I can tell you 20 years ago when I was a student, we did everything we could to avoid that pond, but I guess times have changed. So all in all, our campus really does feel like a mini college. And I can say that when I went off to college myself as an undergraduate, I was a lot less intimidated by finding my classes because I knew I had handled it at Don Bosco Prep. So any other questions, again, please feel free to contact us. And of course, just a reminder that we are live this evening on several platforms. So please submit any questions that you may have about our academic program, extracurriculars, athletics, our safety protocols, or anything. Thanks, Mr. Donnelly. Back to you.
Thanks, Mr. Morelli. And I will tell you, Mr. Morelli, I did jump in that pond, and it's certainly quite an experience. Let's put it that way. So the next question and we handled a couple of these questions for people that registered for tonight's events. We were impressed with your academic pathways program, but my son is not sure what he wants to study yet. Can he take different classes in various pathways? I know, Mr. Giandola, you touched on this just a little bit, but do you think you can go in a little further about this information regarding our pathways and how much flexibility our students have?
Absolutely, Mr. Donnelly. So yes, our students have the ability to declare which pathway they want to be a part of. However, they still have the entire program of studies at their fingertips. So if they're in the business pathway, but yet they still desire to take an art class, they have that ability to do that. Also, if students know what they want to do and they want to declare, they can. If they have no idea as an 8th grader coming into 9th grade what they want to do, they don't have to declare, and they can just pick and choose different electives and just get a whole gamut of electives under their belt. You know, Father Jim, in the earlier part of tonight, talked about this being a playground. It's really a playground for them, and it's an opportunity for them to explore what they like, what they don't like, what piques their interest, what doesn't pique their interest, what works and what doesn't work. And so they have the opportunity to get a true taste of everything here at Don Bosco.
That's great, Mr. Giandola. Thanks so much for that. I'm always impressed to see how diverse our students are and some of the unique interests they have. And when families come and tour our campus and see some of what we're talking about, a lot of these programs are very new. The engineering program with the robotics is 7 years old. The entrepreneurship and business is 5. Our Calm Arts program, we have a studio full of students right now that are helping us produce tonight's program. That's only in its 3rd year. So the one thing that we really do is adapt to our students. As new interests come about, we're always willing to adapt and create and accommodate the new interests that our students have. So let's move on to another question. I know this was something that was asked a couple of times upon registration. Do students have to complete service hours? Service is a big part of Don Bosco Prep. There's a lot of different opportunities here on campus, off campus, nationally, internationally. Mr. Morelli, could you help us out and talk a little more about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So our service program is integrated in with our theology curriculum. It is not something that we just have our students do extra, but we really make an effort to make sure that we engage in service learning. So this is not just spirituality at work, but quite honestly, our students are studying topics in classes like spirituality of vocation and Catholic social justice, where they're thinking about the actual, theological background and explanation for our call to service as Roman Catholics. We do have a graduated program in that the older you get, there are more requirements for you, but on campus, we do have all sorts of opportunities for you to be able to engage in service. So We offer opportunities to travel to a soup kitchen once a week. We have oratory night where students work through youth ministry to do service on campus to clean the campus up and then go and participate in a pizza dinner and then go to a football game on Friday nights in the fall. We also have international and domestic mission trips to the Appalachian region. We've had them to Puerto Rico, Nicaragua, and really all kinds of opportunities for students to serve both at home and abroad. So really, I think my favorite part of the service program is that if a student has an idea for a project, and that is something that we are totally willing to work with him on. And some of our most exciting and creative projects have happened just because of our students' ideas. So a perfect example is we had one student who during the quarantine started using a 3D printer to be able to make bands that went on the back of one's forehead so that the mask didn't get behind your ear and cause pain. And it was really donated to hospitals in order to help healthcare workers and first responders who were wearing masks for really long shifts. So it was pretty incredible. But service is a huge part of Don Bosco Prep here. And any other questions about that can be directed to me or to Father Sasika, who is our coordinator of youth ministry.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Morelli. And it's always great. One of my favorite times of the year, and hopefully this will continue this year, is when the students return in the spring from their mission trips. It's always very impactful, and I know that they love sharing their stories. The next question we have live is religious education part of the curriculum? Mr. Morelli, I think we're just going to swing back to you on that one because I know you were just talking about service, but I know you touched a little bit about some of the classes. You want to further talk about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So for 4 years, all of our students are required to take theology. We consider it one of our core classes in addition to social studies, science, English, math, and world language. The freshman theology class is really an introduction to Catholicism. And then we hit all different aspects from morality to scripture. And then eventually we get to, like I said, Catholic social justice, Salesian leadership, as well as spirituality and vocation. And those classes our senior year really poise our students to be able to move forward and to put their faith into action. We do also offer the opportunity for our students to make sacraments if you are a student who would like to convert to Catholicism or hasn't made all of your sacraments of initiation yet. So baptism, First Communion, and confirmation are available here. But I think it is important to note that while we certainly are a Roman Catholic institution, we do have students who are not Catholic that are here, students of the Muslim faith, of the Jewish faith, other Christian sects, and we welcome everybody with open arms, and that our religious education or our theology curriculum is very much academically based. We treat it as a core academic subject, and we also make sure that it is something that we make available to all students to learn a little bit more about who we are as a Catholic institution.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Morelli. Appreciate your input on that one. As we're waiting here for the next question to come up, I just want to remind everybody that, again, in order to visit Don Bosco Prep, if you are a current 8th grader, which is a member of the class of 2025, please contact me directly and arrange your personalized tour. We do run them every school day during the year. So please reach out to me, and I'd love to show your family around Bosco. So the next question that just popped up, does Don Bosco Prep provide transportation? I think I'm going to go ahead and field that one. I get asked that quite often. We are a very diverse campus. We have students that come from about 160 different feeder schools. So they're not exactly from right down the road here. We have students from New York and New Jersey, from every town in Bergen County. We have guys that come up from Newark and the Oranges, boys that get on a train at 5 in the morning out of Port Jervis, New York, and swing down through Orange County, New York, Rockland County. So we are a very diverse community just from where our guys come from. And transportation can be a challenge sometimes. New York and New Jersey are very different. Every town in New Jersey is a bit different. My suggestion to you is call your local Board of Education, ask them what they will provide in terms of transportation. Also check out that we're on the train line here. We're on the Bergen line, and about 80 boys take advantage of that on a daily basis, either coming up from the south, from Hoboken to the Caucus Station, or coming down from Port Jervis, like I said, down through New York We send shuttles down in the morning to pick the boys up. The station is the Ramsey 17 station. That's only about maybe a quarter of a mile away. And that usually works really well for families and gives students a lot of flexibility in terms of coming and going from Bosco. And we have some students that come from, they might be the only guy from their town, and we do spend a lot of time arranging carpools and kind of connecting families together that we know that could be an issue. So thanks very much for that transportation question. It's always a good one, and I think that certainly we can certainly work with you on that one. All right, what's the next question we have here? How is the arts program? Oh, every year I'm learning more about our arts program. Mr. Morelli, I think I'm going to turn this one back to you. When you were a student here, I know you were involved in the arts program. I myself can't carry a tune, but do you think that you could talk a little bit about that, the fine and performing arts and the visual arts? I know that's a lot of growth here going on currently at Bosco.
Absolutely, yeah. So we have a very strong arts program. As part of our Pathways initiative, we have 2 pathways that are based in the arts. We have the fine and performing arts pathway, and then the communication arts pathway. So communication arts is really video and media. Essentially what you're seeing this evening, this live production, the edits that you saw, the live tours of campus with the drone shots, etc., our live lunchtime lowdown and our daily broadcast, all of that comes into our communication arts program, including live streaming major events like our school masses and major sporting events. The other major program is the fine and performing arts pathway. So we have the opportunity to take studio art, including up to 2 years of AP studio art, advanced placement, 2D, 3D studio art, or AP drawing. And obviously there's a progression based on interest and a skill that we have students that enter in 9th grade and can take that as an elective. We also just added a full-time position for our theater director, Ms. Brooke DeBettis. She's actually done research that has been announced at conferences in Europe, really about the interplay between theater and psychological development for adolescents. We have an Ironman improv group, which has just started up. So it's basically an opportunity for students to learn to express themselves and to pretty much play Whose Line It Is It Anyway, if you've ever seen that show. We have a sketch comedy fest, which we're hosting this fall. Typically, we have a fall drama. We have a spring musical. We have chorus, we have band, we have string orchestra, jazz band, guitar ensemble. So plenty of opportunities to perform. And also, like I said, with our theater arts program developing, we're sure to see some more arts curricula developing, more courses developing in the next couple of years.
That's great, Mr. Morelli. And I would be remiss if just from a theater performing arts standpoint, we talked about what occurred here in the spring. On March 15th, we were supposed to have Newsies, which all the boys and the production staff took so much time to prepare for. We didn't just get rid of that performance. We performed that in our quad outdoors here over the summer. So that shows and demonstrates our commitment to the Performing and Theater Arts program, and it was certainly a wonderful evening. The next question we have, what does Don Bosco offer in terms of college counseling? We are a college preparatory school. I think that certainly I'm always impressed to see a lot of the options that our students have in terms of looking post Don Bosco. Mr. Jandoli, I know you've only been here a short time, but I know you have a great history in terms of the background, in terms of directing students. So I thought maybe you could start us off with this one, and then maybe Mr. Morelli or Mr. Fazio, either one of you could wrap it up in terms of the college placement and some of the unique places our boys end up at.
Absolutely, sure. So in terms of college counseling, from the very moment that students enter Don Bosco as freshmen, they meet with their counselors. They use a system called Naviance. They do things like interest surveys, career surveys, just trying to get them on a certain track right from the get-go. And then throughout the process, their counselor is constantly with them, making sure that they're on track with taking the PSAT, the SAT, ACT, different types of tests, admission tests. Are there schools that are test optional, schools that are, really heavy on a college essay? So the college counseling process is fantastic. And just being here the short time that I am, I can tell you that I'm blown away by the diversity of the colleges that we send our boys to. It's just a vast amount of colleges, and to the high level of colleges that our students end up at. It's just absolutely incredible.
And if I could jump in here, yeah, thanks, Mr. Gandoli. A couple of other things about our guidance in college programming. So beginning freshman year, we have a group guidance curriculum that we actually just started this year with the class of 2024, where we start working on social emotional learning and really having the students get to know themselves as people, because college is actually really important. Of course, for your post-secondary plans, but college is only as important as it is in terms of fit. So we very firmly believe it's not just about the bumper sticker game or about the name, but making sure that your student truly knows himself, his strengths, his passions, what he thinks he might want to study, and finding a place where he's going to live and be happy for 4 years. I think sometimes we get so caught up in just the process itself that we forget that this is a whole other chapter of your son's life, which is going to be absolutely instrumental and formative. So our counseling department really gets to know their students by having the same counselors stick with students for 4 years. So whomever your freshman year counselor is, that's what you'll have through senior year. They're writing your recommendations in addition to teachers for college counseling. And quite frankly, what it lets us do is really get to know our students and be in touch. We have lots of contacts and an incredible reputation with colleges all across the country and abroad. If you go on our website, you can see our college profile over the last 4 years. We send students to Ivy League schools every year. We send students to the top public research institutions every year. And honestly, what I think I'm most proud of, though, is that it's really about fit. And we have students that go on to matriculated schools where we know that they are going to be happy and successful. And as far as I'm concerned, what I'm most wanting for our students is that they know themselves and then can take their strengths and their passions and apply them moving forward. And that's really the cornerstone of our guidance department. You can reach out to Mr. Tom Bellucci or Ms. Susie Rando, who are the director of guidance and the director of school counseling, and they can give you more info on that as well. Also available on our website.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Morelli. We have another question coming in here. With the HSPT being canceled, how would the selection process be conducted? Also, how is the scholarship determination being made? Great question. The HSPT, obviously, the Archdiocese is not administering that exam this year. As it is part of our admission process in the past, it is only a part of it. Really, our goal is to get to know the whole student, the whole applicant, their abilities in some of the areas that they excel in. So that's why we really ask for the online application, which I said before includes an essay, the transcripts, letters of recommendation. I have a file on each applicant. So I really ask you, help fill up your file. Let me learn more about you. Here, what we know around Don Bosco Prep is that each student is so much more than a transcript. There's so much more that makes you up. So let us learn more about what makes you tick, where you excel, where can we help strengthen you, and really the whole process should help us with that. Also, in terms of scholarship opportunities, we will offer out about $500,000 of academic scholarships to this incoming freshman class. Like I mentioned before, we are currently creating a scholarship assessment. I'm not ready to fully release that yet, but I will make sure I share that publicly here in the early part of October. And that will just, again, be another way for us to figure out the quality of the students we have here at Don Bosco Prep. And we certainly are always very impressed with the academic abilities of our students. Okay, what's the next question that we have there? Okay, can you tell us about your clubs, activities, and how to keep your students engaged? Right in my wheelhouse. This is something we focused so much here in the last 2 years. Student engagement is a big part of Don Bosco Prep. One of the main additions we made here last year was a student engagement coordinator. This is a full-time position here. When you come on our campus, you will probably see Mr. Ferrier flying around campus. His job is to get students anchored in. We give a survey the very first day during orientation, and which really helps us learn more about our students' interests. From that survey, we start making those connections. We start forming groups and clubs and having our student leaders, our juniors and seniors who are student leaders in one of these 65 clubs, start recruiting the younger students. I think this has been a great formula for us. It's really helped with having our students become anchored in multiple areas, and certainly we're very, very proud of this. I know, Mr. Fazio, I know we haven't heard from you in a second here, but I know that you always talk about walking around this campus after school and seeing everything that's going on. Would you like to talk a little bit about our clubs and even some of the things you probably witnessed here over the last couple of days?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, there you go, Mr. Fazio. Sorry.
Here I am. Just want to say that, clubs and activities are really, really essential. I believe that we have to anchor every student. There's a place for every student to hang their hat when they're on this campus. It's very, very important. Even tonight, this production is anchored by students that you'll find in this room throughout the day. It's a home. It's a home that welcomes, led by Jenna Vrablik, our media specialist. I feel that when you walk around this campus and you see from 2 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night, it's a whole nother world. It's a whole nother world. And I'd like to just touch a little bit upon the safety aspect of our school. We have 35 acres, which is an open campus, but in many, many ways, it's a closed campus. And, during those activities, our students are supervised 100% of the time. We have card swipes where students will only get in with an ID card. And we have license plate readers so that we know everybody that's on this campus. I have an armed security man who retired from Bergen County, tremendous leader of security. We have cameras all over our campus. So when the boys are involved in these activities, they're in a safe place, and everything comes right to this phone where we're able to see what's going on and who's here and all the activities that take place. So while we're in a pandemic, we're also very, very conscious about being safe. And because we have all these activities and clubs that go on after school, they need to be safe. And that's what I'm really happy about. I can leave here at 5 o'clock at night and know that this campus is in a safe place and that we have all the tools, all the bells and whistles around security that are important. We have a security vehicle that makes checks throughout the day. We have walkie-talkies so that everybody's in communication because it is a big place. So we have lots of systems that are in place. We had a security firm that came in and did a needs assessment for us 5 years ago. And we have checked off the box of every single needs assessment. It was done by an ex-FBI agent. So again, when we talk about excellence, we're excellence from top to bottom, okay? Vertical and horizontal in everything that we do. So again, thank you for allowing me to speak to you tonight.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Mr. Fazio. I think we have one more question. I think we're going to take one more question. This one is pertaining to the engineering program. How are the engineering programs? Mr. Jandoli, I think that, ironically, you're actually sitting in one of our engineering robotics laboratories tonight. So I thought maybe you touch a little bit about that, maybe your experience so far. And then Mr. Morelli, maybe you could talk a little bit about what some of our boys do with the engineering program, not only from the robotics, the classes, but also having a varsity robotics team here. Mr. Jandoli, you want to start us off with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So here we offer a variety of robotics classes. So we offer introduction to robotics, which is really just Lego programming. Then we move into the next part, which is true coding and programming. And then finally, in the last step, the engineering and design piece is where they build life-size robots right here in this lab. Just today, it was great. I came into this lab this morning with Mr. Donnelly at around 10 o'clock, and you saw students in here, tools out, who's banging things, who's screwing something in and loosening something up, and who's it just lit up their faces because this was their anchor. This was something that they look forward to on their schedule, something that made them come to life in a sense. And so this is also an after school piece as well. And that's what Mr. Morelli is going to talk to you about now.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Gentoli. So like we said, we've got both the curricular piece where we've got 4 years of engineering classes. We also offer computer science classes culminating for both engineering and for computer science in terms of the AP computer science class. We have an engineering design course, which is very project-based and hands-on, but all of that is augmented by our extracurricular program. Our extracurricular program involves our varsity robotics team. I would challenge anyone to find a better program in the state. We have gone on to win multiple state championships in terms of our robotics program, and we actually have a junior robotics program for middle school students, both boys and girls, that our Bosco students come in and help on Saturdays. So it's really been a huge program that's flourished over the last 7 years. It's become one of our most signature programs here. And I definitely, if you have any interest in STEM or computer science or engineering, to come and check us out and speak with Mr. Donnelly so he can introduce you to Father Lou, who is our robotics guru here on campus. Back to you, Mr. Donnelly.
Hey, thanks, Mr. Morelli. Well, look, it's 8 o'clock. I think we're going to wrap things up here. If you have any questions or need more information, please email me directly at cdonnelly@donboscoprep.org. I will also be sending out electronically a follow-up message containing links and future events for you to get involved in. I would like to give a special thanks to the entire production crew and participants this evening. Truly a team effort. It's always impressive to see how a group of people come together and can really make an event like this come off as such a success. And to you, the viewer, thank you for joining us this evening. This was truly a great opportunity to interact with you and demonstrate much of what Don Bosco Prep has to offer. We look forward to working with all those interested in becoming Ironman families. So I'm going to toss it back to Marcus and Will. I hope they haven't fallen asleep yet, but Marcus and Will, why don't you wrap things up for us and send us home?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in, and we are glad to call ourselves Ironman.
We are proud to show what this school has to offer to your sons. And on behalf of the entire Don Bosco Prep community, thank you and good night.
Yeah! B-O-S-C-O! Bosco!